That's the core of it. I've even thrown down paper and pens at some of my in-person trainings. You know, people think I'm going to have lights and cameras and all this stuff. And I'm like, literally, they're like, what the heck's going on? I go, tell me about your clients. How many do you have? How many do you want to get to? The mindset I take with it is scale, bail, or tweak. If it's working, you should scale it. If it's not working, bail. And if it's close within your KPI parameters, you know, maybe you can tweak it. And I want to say something semi-controversial about that used car, not even used car salesman. I love salespeople because truthfully, they're the ones who are supposed to educate us. The problem is, used car salesmen were usually amateurs and they got a bad rap. But now there's so many people. Oh, I'm starting up a business. Oh, what's this week, John?
Hey, this is Luis.
And I'm FONZI.
You're listening to the Content is Profit podcast. No, stop it.
Stop
the
production.
Okay, here we go. Hey, I'm Luis.
And I'm FONZI.
You're listening to the Content is Profit podcast,
where we talk about entrepreneurship, mindset, and of course, how to turn your content into profit.
But most importantly, we're here to have a good time with you. So go ahead to contentsprofit.com and join the community. That's right.
Oh, yeah. I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you the one with the lack of sleep or what?
Probably. Hey, man, you know what do they say about Thursdays? They're small Fridays.
Good point.
You know?
Solid point.
I went crazy last night.
Guess what? You're going to wake up as soon as we start talking to today's guest. And we're going to be talking all about how to become the go-to expert in your market, the authority.
Ooh,
the people are going to be looking for you after you listen to this conversation and take action.
That's right. And if you listening are enjoying this episodes, go ahead and follow the show on your favorite podcasting platforms because every Tuesday, Thursdays, and Saturdays, your episodes are dropping right on your phone. Keep it in the rotation, guys. You want momentum.
That is right. And if today's guest help you move one step closer towards your goal, please don't forget to share this episode with 3 friends. That is your ticket of admission. Thank you.
2 syllables for you, my friend. Friday. And we have a guest that has been long overdue. Someone that comes from our beloved Podmax family.
R.I.P. Podmax.
We miss you. I was actually talking to Eric today, by the way.
Really?
Shout out, Eric.
What a coincidence. Shout out to the Podmax family. Today's guest is a master interviewer and book publisher who has achieved 2 times #1 international best-selling status. Talk about authority, baby. Impressive. He has also published quite a few books. That is mind-blowing. Yeah. And also with the fact that he actually failed English a bunch of times growing up.
That's right. He's also the host of the Expert Authority Effect interviews, in which he interviews world-changing entrepreneurs. You can safely say he knows all the secrets.
And we're coming after all those secrets here today. Please welcome the one and only Mario Fachini!
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm excited to share with your audience. And it's so incredible being here with you. I gotta be honest, I'm listening to this. I'm like, who's this guy that's coming up? I want to take notes. I want to join you in person. I feel like we should be on a boat dancing or something. I'm sitting here in a tie. I'm love your energy. Love the show. Love everything that you guys are about. I'm so glad that we got connected. And, you know, I got to just say a few things. I don't have all the answers. I might put on a good show or whatever, but I'm still learning every day myself. So excited to be here and share with your audience the parts I do know.
Love it. And just so you know, that is the attitude that just keeps you moving forward. You're like, I got to keep learning every single day. Got to keep growing. Yeah. And just so you know, we love the tie. We were like, should we wear a tie and match Mario for today's interview?
Here's the truth, Mario. The only suit I own is the one I wore at my wedding, 6 years ago, and the thing doesn't fit anymore. I need to go to the gym a little bit, so I need to up the game over there. So awesome.
Well, I have bathing suits too. It's not like some people joke. They're like, is this all you wear is suits? I'm like, no, this is for presentations, speaking on stage, stuff like that. But I'm equally as comfortable in board shorts.
Yes. So we usually ask about the story first, and we're going to get there. But I'm just curious, right? Because you are on brand. Every single thing that I've seen about you, you are on brand, my friend. So has that been a conscious decision of, having the yellow tie? How was it branding yourself for you?
Honestly, it's yes and no. When I started out, I just, like every business is going, well, I need this, I need the logo, I need the business cards, I need all these, at the core, you just want to help people, but you're comparing yourself to these businesses that have been around 10, 20, 50 years with multi-billion dollar budgets, and it can be overwhelming. So I've done everything very simply to get started, and then over the years simply refined it. And I take the same approach with book publishing, because people are like, oh my gosh, whatever. Whatever overwhelm you can create, a lot of people tend to, and it's like, stop. Tell me your business, who do you help, and how do you help them? That's the core of it. I've even thrown down paper and pens at some of my in-person trainings. People think I'm going to have lights and cameras and all this stuff, and I'm like, literally, they're like, what the heck's going on? I go, tell me about your clients. How many do you have? How many do you want to get to? How are you currently helping them? And then I even forced them to make phone calls because they hate that part.
When can FONZI join your training over there, Mario?
Are we doing live phone calls here in Content is Profit now?
If you want to, I'm open to it. I mean, I just want to add value to your audience. You guys, you're great. I'm so glad we got connected. But at the end of the day, it's like people can get overwhelmed with all this stuff. Yeah. So circling back to the, I developed everything. These colors are based on my Wave Runner. Like, if you want the absolute truth, it's like, oh my gosh, everything is so well planned. No, I got started. I made a goal of helping dozens of people, got them as clients. And like 4 years later, people are they were complimenting me from day one on, oh, I love your branding. I'm like, what branding? Next year, what branding? After 4 or 5 years, I'm like, I guess I have a brand. So I kind of just stuck with it. And there is another reason I have some colors. I might share that if you ask nicely. But it's just, I didn't overthink it in the early days, and I still don't. I dumb everything down despite having a much bigger budget and, some fancy stuff.
Yeah.
I still take the same process as 14 years ago since full time and 20 years ago since I started.
Wow.
Incredible. So here's some context for the people listening to us, right? Like if you go to the video, right, and what you see is, Mario, you look like an awesome news anchor. Like that was our impression. Like
the swagger, man, is real.
So here's
Thank
the thing:
you.
the first time that we saw you was on this event. It was a PodMax. And shout out to the event.
R.I.P. Rest in peace, PodMax. We miss you.
But it was an incredible event where a lot of podcasters and content creators connected, and we interviewed different people and different things. And I remember you highlighted, like you were like a light bulb, like in the Zoom like call, right? And you're like, who's this guy? Immediately the eyes just go there, and it's the background that you have, the microphone that you have, like how you portray yourself, and that's so important. Like and for us is this thing, right? Is like the Legos and the books and the Content is Profit behind us and the lights and the thing, and that's what.
And they jumping up and down.
And the jumping up and down and the music, and I think those are like really cool elements. But like you said, you mentioned something that is so important. It evolved, right? You started in this like frictionless point, right, that you could execute, and then it started evolving slowly, and it has been the same for us. And a lot of people that start creating content, or they want to start creating content, they get overwhelmed, whether that's a business or whether that's a content production, whether that's a book, whether that's a podcast, right? They get so overwhelmed. Yeah. And for us, that was the thing. And then we spent a whole year, like next week, it would have been 3 years since we started the podcast. But no, we wasted a whole year because of that overwhelm. So thank you for reminding people that we can start very easy and without any friction.
Yeah. Mario, you're like the Italian godfather of publishing, man. Like, I love it. It's so cool. And the phrase that you said, like, people just overwhelm themselves. Like, we sabotage ourselves. We're like our own worst enemy. And I wrote here in my notes, stop the overwhelm, because we can literally just dumb it down, make it easy for us to take action, right? Make it simple, right? And we've had that phrase actually come up a lot in the podcast, which is, it is easy. It is simple. It is not easy. Now I'm mixing them both up over here. It is simple, is not easy. and we can, again, stop the overwhelm and just have a few things that we do well on a very consistent basis, which one of those is actually showing up on a very consistent basis like you did. And that by itself created your brand, I feel like. And now, I mean, you're recognized as the Italian godfather of publishing.
I appreciate that, Fonzie. And, you know, as far as mixing up the simple or easy, it doesn't even matter, because I would say 95% of business is going to get mixed up over the years. As long as you wake up the next day and go, okay, let's straighten out today's problem, because there is today's problem and then there's tomorrow's. But as long as you can find that joy in that, I think if there's one thing, if you can keep that joy and always come from a place of, I want to serve and add value, the whole thing can blow up and you're still in business. You know, people go, you know, when did you start your business? Common question I get on interviews, and I go, which time? I mean, in my mind, it's like, well, here and here, this, that, the other thing. But it's like, no, if I'm being honest with myself, that was a debacle. That was a breakdown. That was horrible. And I'm still here.
Yeah.
And that's when you get a chance to, you know, I think it was Bill Gates. There's this quote, you know, success, and he probably got it from someone else, to be honest. So whatever, fact checkers. But, you know, success is a horrible teacher. It seduces us into thinking we can't ever lose. And the reality is you don't learn anything when you're succeeding. Now, by all means, take it, enjoying it thoroughly. Anything that's easy and effortless, come here right now.
Yeah, bring it.
But the times when it's not going well, that's when you can reevaluate and go, what didn't work? I actually take our clients through something every year going, what did you not like about this year that you never want to take into any future years? And what did you love that you want to keep and always have and never be without again? Too often we just get in this groove, or, you know, depends where you're at. Maybe it's a rut, but it can be, well, I just think I have to take on these clients just because they said they need my help. No, you absolutely don't. And moreover, just because you did something with them doesn't mean you have to continue working with them. If you fulfill the commitment and everything you did, maybe it wasn't ideal, but you know what? You don't have to keep doing it. We do self-sabotage. So when you can get to that point of going, what do I really want, and keep refining it, that's where the progress is, regardless of whatever your business is.
Yes, I love it. And that reminds me of a quote I actually heard earlier today. It talks about awareness, right? And I feel like is in a sense what you're talking about right now. Once we are aware of these things, right, we can start moving forward. And it says, the awareness isn't healing. It's talking obviously about more internal things, but is the starting point of the journey. We can move forward without it, but it's not the destination. And I feel like a lot of people like understand what you just talked about, right? But then they're like, oh, because I understand it, I'm good. I'm going to move forward. But we still got to make that conscious choice every single day of, okay, what is that one problem I'm going to solve next, right? And it is challenging, but at the same time, it is very, very enjoyable.
I want to speak
to...
it's
not so much how you know it, it's how well are you doing it? And is it part of you? There's a lot of stuff I know, but there's also a lot of stuff I'm working on, you know, having it second nature. There's different levels. There's the competency levels. Until you master it and can teach it, you're still learning as far as I'm concerned.
Yep, yeah, absolutely. I want to speak to the part of the failure, right? Like, same with us, right? Like we started selling stickers and we thought we were going to be millionaires selling stickers, and that didn't work out. And then we sold t-shirts and we thought we were going to be millionaires selling t-shirts, and we didn't know who we were going to sell it to. And we're like, every single person that, you know, buys it. And even when we started the agency, what was it, like 4 or 5 years ago, right? Like the initial agency, same thing, right? Like, and it has evolved so much. And even today, right? Like the product is like really dialed in. The service that we offer is like really dialed in, but still you can still make those choices. And we just had conversations this past week of what you just said about picking who you're going to be working with. We actually had a conversation about somebody that we quoted, somebody like a type of service 8 months ago. And, we just received the emails like, well, this is what you quoted. I'm like, well, it has evolved. It has been 8 months since we last spoke. So like, this is the new thing and it's way better. Right. And obviously the price increased a little bit, and that's fine. And those are conversations that we need to have and those things. But on the failure side, I was listening to a show earlier and they were talking about, you know, people taking their time to make these decisions, right? And they're talking more on the investment side, or, you know, making those fast decisions whenever you're in college, for example, like, oh, that's a cool idea, let's go execute like right now. And then like you will learn very quickly and then you move on, right? So it's like, how can we replicate that mental state to make those decisions, right? Or how can you create an environment where you can actually make those decisions that you're okay with failing? So in the case of investing in their side, they set up a budget to invest in crypto, NFTs, different things, right? That they're okay because it's a learning budget, right? So if they're up, they win. If it's down, they still win because they're learning, right? But so in the business side of things, how can we create that mental state? On the publishing side, how can we create that mental state? For us, and this is the question for you, Mario, but for us was on the show, we're like, we are okay. The win is just put it out there. It's just publishing, right? It's not being perfect. It's not the audience. Is for now, the initial win is to put it out there. Well, talk about 240 something plus episodes later, we've made incredible decisions. The business completely changed. We were able to hire people with like the thing that's coming on the 23rd is massive, right? So it's like, okay, that's great place to start. So for you, have you had that moment in your business or like while publishing that you're in that mental state of, hey, I'm just gonna try these things, and if it goes down, like I'm okay with it, and if it goes up, great, we learn and move on. Like, do you have like distinct moments that you remember?
Yeah, one of the early ones, and that's a great question. One of the early ones was with ads. When you're doing paid ads, great thing, highly support it. It's actually step 7 of my expert authority effect process is advertising. And the thing is, some people go, well, I tried that. There's people who come to me who are still working on their first book from a decade ago when I was doing my first one. When I was doing my first one, they're still working on their first one. Well, I tried it. When you commit, whether it goes great or different, it becomes part of you, like I was saying. It might go great, it might go not. But when you go, I want to master this and I'm going to do whatever it takes, you take the cap off your mentality and the mindset of, well, I tried it. I put $100 into it. I know people, and I want to make this differentiator because there's different levels of business. Some people will go, well, I put $200 into that. That was a lot. And for them, it is. Other people say, I put 1,000 into it and lost it. And to them, that is. I have people that have put, yeah, we tried that for 10 and 20 grand. Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's people that tried it for 100,000.
Yeah.
For anyone listening, if you're anywhere between $100 and 100,000 in ads and it's not working, first off, good for you for trying it, but maybe set a stopgap and say, we're going to invest this and try it on our own. But I would actually tell you to find someone who could teach you to begin with, because you'll just sit there and not know what you're doing wrong. Same thing with publishing, same thing with business, same thing with pretty much anything.
Yeah. This is awesome. Okay. So I'm reading this book called The Ultimate Sales Machine. Are you familiar with it? Okay. Chet Holmes.
I am.
Awesome.
Shout out to Amanda.
Shout out
to
to
Amanda.
So Amanda, yeah, we love Amanda. We're working a couple projects with them. It's so awesome. But anyway, so there's a part there, and this comes to you, and then I want to hear like if you've tried something like this, right? Like, so they came up with this account, and they gave him, I think it was like 10 grand, and they're like, we have to go try this 10 grand, right, to get customers and acquire things. And at the time, they needed to invest that money in Facebook wasn't a thing, so like one of the things that they wanted to try was in radio. And they're like, okay, how are we gonna do this? Are we gonna invest all 10 grand in like this like one strategy? So what they did is they split the 10 grand in 10 chunks of $1,000, and then they tried one strategy that 1 month, 10 different strategies, assigning $1,000 to each strategy, right? And then at the end of the month, they sat down and were like, what worked, what didn't, right? And the thing that, failed, and they were like, this is not what we're expecting, cut it up, and then we continue to repeat. So now they got left with 5 things, and they're like, okay, now we can invest 2 grand in those 5 things for the next month, and then like that. And that was an incredible approach to trying these things. So now when, like, obviously that was in radio ads, and they improved on messaging, they improved on what is the audience, they improve on these elements, right? So have you had an experience like that, whether that's with ads or even with your business operations or publishing?
Yes, all of the above, actually. So awesome. The mindset I take with it is scale, bail, or tweak. If it's working, you should scale it. If it's not working, bail. And if it's close within your KPI parameters, maybe you can tweak it. And it's interesting. I've taken a similar approach back in '08 when I'm going full time in business. God help me. I'm praying. I wanted to be full time this time because it was the third time I wanted to go full time. But this time I was like more determined, committed, whatever, and I was just doing everything. So I had no mentor or coach specifically for this at the time. And so my whole strategy was I'm going to do the opposite of everything I did last year because clearly that didn't work. And there was enough chaos that I was like, okay, maybe I should refine it, but I didn't know what to refine. Shortly after, I started hiring mentors and coaches for pretty much everything. At the very least, a training. At the very, very, very minimal least, a freaking book. If someone won't invest $20 to learn some expertise on the subject matter, I mean, now we have podcasts and YouTube and trainings, and people have free courses or the 37, the 97, regardless of the price point, why wouldn't you even learn the fundamentals of it before you even go, well, I'm just going to put money into it? There were times I thought the ads were set and it was ripping through a few hundred a day. At the time, I maybe allocated 500 or 1,000 for the month. And it was like, holy smokes, I'm glad I caught it before I left for the weekend.
Yeah.
But at the same token, it's like literally one click, you'll rip through the whole budget. Because Facebook and all the different networks, they want you to spend money. Why are they're unless you put those stop gaps, they're not going to go, oh, it looks like your spending's above average. We should limit this for you to help you. That's contrarian to what they want.
Yeah.
So they'll let that thing ride as much as you possibly want it to. So that's why I always say educate yourself first, regardless if it's, honestly, $100 or 10,000. Because one thing I believe in is just because you have the money doesn't mean you should be wasting it. I think it was Ogilvy who said 50, 80. What is the math now? Back in the 1900s, it's crazy to even say that, but in the mid 1900s, he said, my ads are working, but I don't know which half or something.
Yeah, he was like 50% of my marketing is working. I just don't know which 50% is the one that is working.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're welcome to throw money out the window, but I believe we should be good stewards of it also. You shouldn't hold on so tight you never let it go that you can't grow. But at the same time, I know people with tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars that they'll put at something, but none of them are just whatever.
Yeah. I remember a story, and FONZI, you probably remember this too, was Funnel Hacking Live, actually. They were sharing a story. This lady put in $3 million in ads. And it's like, my funnel is losing money. And I think it was Russell, the one, it was like a coaching session. It's like, stop that, like right now, like what's happening? Why are you continue to do this? Right? Like we need to go back and look at these feedback loops, right? Like in our service, for example, we just jumped on a call like that. We're working with a certain type of client that our link was an agency, and we did not have contact with the feedback loops with this agency, so we weren't able to improve anything because there was no feedback. And we're like, okay, we actually need the feedback from what's happening on your end to see what happens. Well, guess what? The relationship of the client with the agency was broken because they weren't having any results. And now we're establishing those feedback loops. So for those people that are creating or even in their business, right, investing in ads in different like this, like build a system inside of your own operational system to like how we're gonna be doing this. Not so long ago for us on the production of the podcast, right? We had to like put in it in our daily huddle thing. We have to go through what's happening this week on the show because it's not just up to us anymore, right? Like if it's out of memory, great, but it's not. And everybody needs to be aware of what's happening and what's the feedback and what are we improving. And just now we just released a couple of like new covers for the episodes, and it's been grabbing a ton of traction, a lot of attention, and people are like, what is this? And we like, that came out of feedback loop. So it's awesome. How often do you establish those in your business and your publishing? Like, do you have it systematized like that where, or even with your clients, like what do you recommend?
Generally once a week. If you're going, regardless of the project, it really, I'm thinking back 20 years. I think once a week is a good cadence because one, it's not school. It's not like here's your homework for tonight, and people have stuff going on.
Yeah.
Generally, I try to make anything that's just 30 to 60 minutes, like 5-7 days, once a week.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going, here's 30 hours of homework you have to do. First off, they're not going to do it unless you're on some real aggressive plan and we both consent. Like, hey, I had one client, we were publishing a book back in 2014. December 8th, he's like, I want to publish a book for the new year. That's in 3 weeks, right? Yeah, absolutely. But I know you can pull it off. I'm ready. True. All right, let's do it.
Yeah.
But that was a different circumstance. I mean, that you're on a daily cadence, but when it's a month or two project, 3 months, 6 months, whatever, a year, whatever, depending on the relationship, I think once a week is a good cadence, because then you can go, hey, let's talk 30, 60 minutes. Yeah. And if I gave you all the answers of how to do your own book right now, Merry Christmas. But at the same time, if there's no sounding board to go back and forth, you're going to get stuck at some point. So that's also where it's like, hey, I moved through 4 out of the 5 things, but what about this? I just need a little extra context. And that can be 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. And now you're not, so I do more of managing the energy and the momentum and that than anything, because the reality is I wrote one book in a day and I've wrote other ones over a couple of weeks. So and some people take years. It just depends.
Yeah, that's so important. We actually experienced some sort of that because at the beginning, we wanted to make our service as frictionless as possible, right? We were like, all they got to do is send us the content. We never talk to them and they just get the content back. Guess what? It was in theory, it's great. You're like, wow, I'm not bothering my client at all, but you're not building a relationship with them, right? They're not seeing your face that often. So then you're not as valuable as you could potentially be. And when they have to cut somebody because they have maybe, monetary issues and challenges like every other business, guess who's the first one to go? We were the first ones to go plenty of times. And we were like, what is going on, right? Like, why are they cutting us as soon as they hit a speed bump? What we decided to do is, let's get more in contact with our clients. Let's talk more to them. Let's meet on a weekly basis, literally, just like you just said. And it has been amazing, right? We get that feedback. We talk to them. Now, sometimes we like to joke around too. So we joke around with them. And we have now this awesome relationship. And we're literally building more of a friendship that is creating a stronger bond. And guess what? Now we're way more valuable to their business because, yes, the deliverables are still the same, is the content, right?
They're better because of the feedback loops.
Exactly. They actually improve.
You're also not positioned as just a vendor to them.
Exactly. That positioning is key. So, that very important point. And I want to transition here a little bit because we are running out of time, but I want to hear all about the expert authority effect because you got that thing trademarked too. So it must be pretty important.
So this is my newest book it's the Expert Authority Effect publishing method. My other one is on the Expert Authority Effect, which is like I said, step 7 of that is advertising. And that deals more with the holistic approach of kind of what we've been talking about, how people, refining your messaging, because everyone goes, well, should I be on Facebook, LinkedIn, or this? It doesn't matter. If you don't know who you're talking to and you're saying the wrong things, it doesn't matter. So that's more the systematic approach of going, I don't care what you're doing, whether it's a podcast, book, live stream, whatever the case. If you're not following these steps, you're going to be running in circles and running through the pitfalls. And you can learn, but why would you want to take 5 or 10 years when, you don't need to?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but what I've been doing for the last decade in 5 books now of my own and hundreds of helping others is the publishing method. And that is what excites me because there's a ton of books are nothing new. They've been around thousands of years. It seems like it's a dime a dozen. I get hit with ads all the time. I can help you do a book. I can help you do a book. I can help you do a book. It's no different than I can help you do a podcast or a live stream or a website or just pick something, I should grab it.
You have a
spin the wheel of just whatever the crap is someone's trying to sell.
Yeah.
And it's like there's none of that connection. So I've analyzed what I've done that's worked. And some of it I was just keeping private because it was like, this is my process. This is why it's working. And even other publishers are coming to me going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And I'm like, maybe I don't want to talk about this. However, I have a big goal of helping tens and hundreds of thousands of more businesses. And I can't achieve that of making a bigger dent by keeping it hidden. So I've taken my best stuff and put it in this book. And when we were talking about the positioning, that's actually chapter 2. That's how important it is, in my opinion, and experience. Because again, I joke all the time, including in the book, people go, well, what cover should I have? What's the print? What's the binding? It's all stupid unless you have your content written. Moreover, you can have content written just like a blog post or a Facebook, LinkedIn article, Instagram, and it can be crap.
Yep.
So
100%.
if it's not structured the right way, in a way where it's positioned and you do come off as the authority, it's just another dime a dozen thing. And I've never done that. Moreover, one of my standards is someone has to already be at that level, because I have a problem with the many others out there who are going, well, we can do it for you. It's like they just want the business. It's too special to me. It's too important. And frankly, it's too effective. I don't want to amplify someone who is like scamming people or doing the wrong things. And I just made them look like a rock star. Unless they're already a rock star, see ya, go to someone else.
Oh,
yes.
Okay.
That point is so key.
Can we like double down on that?
Yeah, let's double down on that real quick. I got a quick
Whatever
comment.
you want, I'm here to serve.
Yes.
The cover
This
of
is
your
nowhere
book,
near the realm of what can't we ask. So
I know.
yeah, the cover of your book looks awesome. Let me tell you. I know it's about the content that's inside and the what we call the golden boulders that are inside there ready to be read by everybody. But the cover looks sweet. All right.
Okay, I want to double down in like.
well, I appreciate that, and got to give a shout out to the Expert Authority Effect Publishing team. I had multiple designers work with me on it, multiple revisions, over 40.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
there's other aspects. We also had this is the limited edition one. We have the normal hardcover. There's the paperback, the audio book, and a couple other things I have not mentioned yet. But there's a lot of design going in all of it, and it's the same principles I've taken with the show, with everything since day
Awesome.
one. So it does look cohesive.
Where can people
so
find
I really
it?
do appreciate that.
Where can people
But
find
that-
it?
eapublishingmethodbook.com.
Awesome. We're gonna leave all the links right below, so go check it out, please.
Yeah, I'm about to go buy myself.
Yeah. I want to double down.
The one you get, you'll want the limited edition. I'll say that.
Yeah.
There's some
There you go,
surprises I haven't told anyone about other than my team and some family.
And us and the BIZBROS. Exclusive.
Hopefully, we're trying to get the secrets out on this episode.
It's all good. I think there's something that you mentioned that is so important, and I want to illustrate with a story too. But the fact that you work with a certain type of people, like you gotta be at this level so we can like even interact. I remember we were actually invited to the Startup Weekend. Are you familiar with the Startup Weekend?
I've heard of it, but haven't attended myself yet.
Okay, so when I was in college, I attended it to like put out my millionaire idea out there, but it didn't work out. And then years later, we go, well, that idea definitely is not going to work out. I promise you that. But
It'll lead to the next one, though.
it did lead to the next one. It did lead to what we're doing now, which is incredible, right? And then we got called back to actually be mentors, which was crazy. It was like full circle in this experience. So we were there for that day. And the teams were doing their thing. They were like doing their market research, and we're just standing up with other people. And there was this guy that had a CBD company, and he was there, and he was like total sales dude, like typical car sales, but for CBD products, right? And he's like, you try this, and this is why. And we're just having lunch, and we're in this table, right? And he's like, what do you guys do? Like, do you guys are two brothers, same name? And I don't know, you guys talk content? And we're like, yeah, well, we actually have this type of service, and we do this. And he's like, and he's not publishing, like his company was not, it's like a big company. It was like an independent guy that was doing his thing. And he's like, well, how will you sell me? And I'm like, well, the first question I got to ask you is like, are you producing content? And the guy's like, no. Well, I won't even try to sell you because like, you're like, we need the content. First, like, we need somebody that's been publishing for quite a while. We need, people that believe in content, right? This guy wasn't even publishing. So that means he probably doesn't believe in content the way that we do and the way that we need our clients to believe to make sure that this thing works. And the guy was so shocked. He's like, no, but sell me. And I'm like, I don't need to. I don't want to sell you because like you like on top of that, you're not gonna be my ideal client. Like, it's gonna be a pain in the butt it's trying to deal with you.
Yeah.
Because there's so many people and so much distance, right, to that ideal situation that everybody can win.
Just reminded me of a comment that one of our previous clients used to say, and I love this phrase. She said, the way you bring somebody into your business will determine that relationship throughout the business, right? Will determine the fulfillment. So if you're trying to just convince
Say
somebody,
that one more time for me.
the way you bring somebody into the way you bring somebody into your business will determine the way you fulfill them in your business.
Ooh,
and
I like that.
It's powerful, right? Because if you are car salesman type of thing, just hardcore trying to convince somebody, imagine all the doubts they're gonna bring into your business. That just becomes friction, right? At the end of the day, when you're trying to fulfill and be of service, and it's just gonna be a very difficult relationship. But when you bring somebody that already believes in what you're doing, right, or they know you and they want to work with you, it's so easy. You literally bringing them into your business is so simple, and then the fulfillment is actually very enjoyable. And that's we're actually experiencing that with a lot of our clients right now. It's very exciting to serve them because we're like jumping on calls, recording content, doing all these things. And when we look back, it's like these have been the easiest clients that we've had onboarded ever because we have some sort of relationship with them.
Yeah, I can relate to that 100%. One of our newest clients, we're doing his book on finances and wealth. He works with extremely well-off individuals, and some of the stuff I'm learning a ton just helping, with our process as I work with him and my team to develop and publish the book. I'm like, this is phenomenal. And it's going on every single time we talk. He's like, this is so much fun. I'm having a great time, this and that. And we're not talking about marketing and fancy like colors and typical fun stuff. But what's fun is, he's given scenarios of, I just helped my client save $4.5 million on this when he exited his business.
Wow.
Compared to someone else who was it was going to save him 150 grand on about 20 mil. And I'm like, what is the difference here? He goes, well, this guy only knows how to sell this.
Yep.
He doesn't know the stuff I do. But they're both calling themselves the same thing. I go, we need to differentiate that even more. Because that's whether it's, online, offline, regardless of the business, brick and mortar, whatever the case, anyone can say the same stuff, but you do business different and at a higher level like I do. Most people are wherever, and I don't want to put anyone down because I know what it's like to start. And I want to say something semi-controversial about that not even used car salesman. I love salespeople because truthfully, they're the ones who are supposed to educate us. The problem is used car salesmen were usually amateurs and they got a bad rap. But now there's so many people, I'm starting up a business. Oh, what's this week, John? Sorry, but you know the people. It's like they've done 75 things this year alone. This is the newest, greatest thing.
We've been there. Hey?
And it's like, stick with one and come back to me in 6 or 12 months. And I don't care if you're making millions or not. Good for you for sticking around.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just, I got to be honest. When I launched this, I was kind of shocked because I'm not new in business. I've done public speaking over a decade. I've had a show. I've done hundreds of, and I was just like, something's off here. And I was like, for how well people respond to pretty much everything else, I'm like, what is going on the first couple of months? I go, oh my gosh, I have never ran my mouth about this part of my business, which has been the core as much as I'm doing. And to you, it might be new. I go, holy smokes. I go, well, watch this because I am going to be around 6, 12 months, 10 years from now. And it's interesting as time went on, people are like, oh, yeah, I've been watching you the whole time. And I go, I knew it. They just weren't responding the same way initially
Yeah.
that I'm accustomed to at this point for all the other, let's say, divisions of my business. So to them, it was nothing different than me starting a new business. So
Yeah.
for anyone doing that, regardless if you've been around, if you're not getting the response, talk about it more.
Yeah.
And if you are starting, stick around. It doesn't matter if you screw it up or not. The
Oh,
fact
so
that you're
good.
there a year or two later, you'll get people's attention.
It's so
Yes.
powerful. I'm gonna take that as an action point for everybody that's listening right now, right? Like stick to it.
Consistency.
Like, consistency. Like that's the thing. Like we keep saying this like over and over. Mario, thank you so much for bringing that into here, because like for us in publishing, like if consistency was not a thing, then the thing that we're gonna announce on the 23rd would not have happened, and that's
Yep.
massive. By the way, yeah, I can't wait to say. But anyways,
I know.
I can't spill the beans.
And you tell me it'll be between us.
Yeah, maybe as soon as we hit that red button that says end broadcast.
We can trade secrets.
We can
over
trade
here.
secrets. But Mario, last question of your show, and we're very excited because you're in this world. Like, where will you be if you didn't publish?
You know what? It made the biggest impact in why, not even just with my own personal story, but I get this one a lot and it's fun to answer. I still haven't changed my tune on it because I do have a successful podcast. Video is nothing new to me. But the book side of stuff, when someone goes, where should I start? Not against any of it. Look where I'm coming to you from. I'm not saying this doesn't work. But if we were to go, you have X amount of dollars, you have X amount of time, what's the best one to start with? Once this is done, it's done. You can have it, and I'm going on 10 years with my first book, Video Marketing for Business Owners. Love video. Once it's done, it's done. Every other thing I do with the show and video and live streaming, all of that, you need to keep making more and more. If I just stopped right now, which I'm not going to, I would have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of episodes, thousands of videos I've done, but there's nothing new. There's nothing else that you can do at one time and will have the same effect that you can use for a decade. Everything else you have to keep going. So I always say start with the book because it also helps you refine your content. If you've never put that much in time, energy, and money into refining who you're speaking to, what you're selling them, and what you're even doing, that's where all the problems lie anyway.
Yep.
It will make all the rest easier. And it's not to say you can't do one in 3 to 6 months. You know, my one training I take people in 8 weeks. So it's not saying don't do the rest. It's do this first quarter, do this third, and do this fourth. And I guarantee you the one will be one and done, and the rest, I'm still working on it. I started the show years before I started this, still working on it.
Yeah.
Top a book, and it's real hard to hand someone a podcast episode from stage.
Oh.
Let's do this.
Oh.
We're gonna read that book, and then we're gonna bring you a second time, and we're just gonna like deep dive into it.
Yes.
Just like tear it apart in a good way, of course.
I'm down for it.
Love it. Awesome. Fonzie, any last words?
Mario, this has been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much for sharing all the golden boulders. It was a lot of fun, man. Thank you so much.
Mario,
The pleasure's been mine. Wish we had more time. Love you guys.
it's gonna be part 2. I mean, it's
Exactly.
happening. Your wish has
All right,
been
part
granted.
2. To be continued.
Yeah, to
That's
be
right.
continued. With that said, guys, thank you so much for tuning into the Contents Profit Podcast. Go ahead and follow the show and us in your favorite social media channels at BIZBROS Go.
That is right. And if Mario here help you move one step closer towards your goal and help you with publishing your future book, hopefully, make sure you share this episode. See ya.
Bye, guys.